morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, whatever day it is that you're tuning in, welcome back. Today, we are tackling the subject of self esteem. Self esteem is a very common yet underlooked topic in society today. Personally, from personal experience in the black community, we don't really talk about self esteem, mental health, you know, just stuff that typically people would think you keep that to yourself. Self esteem falls under that. Like, no one wants to get into those heavy topics. But that's what we're going to do today. We're unpacking. We're unpacking some self esteem related stuff today. So, um, just to start it off, simple explanation. Self esteem, everybody has it. Um, and honestly, your life experiences will determine what type of self esteem you have or will have. For example, good self esteem, it comes from like validation and accomplishments and achievements, things of that nature. Also, it comes from people like having a support system. People don't realize how important it is to literally just say what you feel. Um, if a child grows up in a home where the parents are constantly saying, you know, go for what you want, you can accomplish this, I believe in you, you're amazing, yada, 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 all these positive things, that child is going to grow up to be confident, have high self-esteem. No one's going to really be able to push them off of their pedestals. No one's going to really be able to push them off of their game. They're going to have that sense of focus and tunnel vision, if you will, about situations and reaching goals and accomplishing things. And, they'll be confident enough to aspire to be greater than their their grandparents, their parents, their peers, their whatever. On the other hand, with bad self-esteem, like that comes from lower expectations, lack of communication, lack of being told that, you're anything important, less long being told that, you can do stuff. Also, an extreme end of bad self-esteem is abuse, verbal, mental abuse. The things that you see as a child really do affect your life. Honestly, I can say from experience that I'm working on my self-esteem. I'll say I have medium self-esteem because before January of this year, 2018, my self-esteem was awful. It was terrible because I self-doubted myself every step of every way. I always felt that I was less than my peers, people that I would just meet. Like, I just felt a sense of worthlessness. And I've come to realize that I felt that way because I wasn't raised in a active environment of, you got this, you can do this, we're proud of you, I'm proud of you. I don't think I've ever in my life heard my mother say that she's proud of me unless I asked her, hey, are you proud of me? And then that takes some pulling teeth as well. We're going to unpack mothers in a whole nother topic. I'll get to it, I promise, because that's a heavier topic. That's a very heavy topic for me. But yeah, I want to share the fact that everybody has self-esteem, and lately, more than often, people have lower end of self-esteem because of all the things that are going on today. Like, people don't have your back like they used to. People don't necessarily look out for each other like they used to. Like, even in the last 10 to 15 years, the climate of personal relationships have changed. Like, there are more people that are just all about themselves and all about instant gratification and all about what can I get? What can I do? How can I advance? Oh well, you failed, so I don't mind taking your spot. That kind of thing. Like, it's a hyper competitive, non-supportive world right now that we live in. So more often people have lower self-esteem, and it's kind of a scary thing, and I just want everybody to kind of take a moment and reevaluate themselves, because the way to get to a new point in life and just in general is to assess yourself. And I learned that, I started doing that in January. I learned that you know things happen, and they could be your fault, they could be circumstantial, they could be a combination of things. But at the end of the day, if you have the will to learn from those mistakes, try again, come up from what you've been through, what you've done, or what has been done to you, you're on the right track. And even if you do have self-esteem today, it can be built. It can be built up, and you can have that go-getting spirit, and you can rise above. You can become what you had, what you've dreamed of in your childhood, in your brain, in your imagination. These things can become reality if you take that moment to reevaluate, reassess yourself, and say, you know what? I'm tired of being low. I want to make some baby steps and climb up, because it is definitely possible. I mean, I can give a quick example. Growing up, I was an only child. I have siblings, but my siblings, they're all 30 plus years older than me. So growing up, I was by myself a lot. I learned how to rely on my imagination. I learned how to kind of build my own world. As a creative, as an artsy person, I relied heavily on my imagination. Plus, my parents were older. They were 54 and 60 when I was born. So, there's that. They didn't have the energy to keep up with a kid, a toddler, a child, whatever. So, I had to learn self-reliance at an early age. But something was missing. And like I said earlier, I realized later in life that I didn't get that push. So I don't expect it. Meaning, I don't expect much from myself. When certain situations arise, I either deal with it or I avoid it. Those are my two ways of functioning. And because of that, I've realized I needed to make a lot of changes. So I was shy, I was quiet. I didn't like to really be noticed as a kid. I mean, I may have had one or two friends, but I like to stay to myself. It felt safe. And also, I guess that goes back to growing up alone. And I had nieces and nephews and cousins, but that was either on the weekend or for summer break. 90% of the time, I was the only child at the house, and we had a dog or two. Those were my companions, those were my friends. So, um, that says a lot, I guess. But yeah, so, I was too shy. I never spoke up in a crowd. I never wanted to because I did not like that spotlight. Then later on, I want to say in high school, around 10th grade, we moved. We moved from Texas back to California. I'll get into my moving situations in another time, but we did a lot of moving back and forth between the two states, Texas and California, because my mother was born in Texas. I was born in California. So the family is kind of split between California, Texas. Some of them are in Arizona, some were in Florida. It's a lot. Anyway, back to it. Um, yeah, so I decided my 10th grade year, I said, I'm tired of being shy. I'm tired of being the apprehensive, the overthinking person that I am. I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to be a little more out there. I'm going to open up more. I'm going to open up quicker because my pattern was this. At the beginning of the school year comes, I'm quiet. About, I don't know, more than halfway into it, then I start opening up. Then I start saying, hey, let's be partners on this project, person next to me, or I start to get comfortable with a couple of classmates or whatever. And I didn't want to be that anymore. I wanted to try. I wanted to push myself. Again, this came from within. No one bothered to notice my struggle. So I reevaluated and I said, I'm tired of being shy. I'm tired of being that quiet kid. I'm tired of being the one that no one really knows or no one ever remembers. I wanted to be a little more than the shy kid in the back of the class that didn't talk. So I reinvented myself and I started to feel a little bit better. I started to gain some confidence. I started to feel a little more self-worth. And then by the end of high school, by graduation, I went off into the adult world, the real world. And I got my first job. I graduated at 19 because I was held back a year. So I was always a year older than my peers. I believe that was back in second or third grade. So I repeated second or third grade. And was always the oldest by a year from my peers. So there's that also. But after graduating back in 05, I got my first job at 19. And the adult world was okay at first. But a couple of years into it, things began to change. Jobs got harder to get. People got more distant and situations got tougher. And I will talk about my 20s. I'll talk about it in the next video. Definitely, because that's a big topic in its own. But what I need to say about self-esteem is it was a roller coaster for me. I went through depression. I hated myself most of the time. Now, I I can truly say for the first time probably ever in my life, I really do feel like I'm starting to love myself and to fall in love with myself because I see my value. I'm starting to. And I see my purpose and my worth and all of those things. And I really do believe that I'm meant to do something great. Alright, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for continuing on. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for joining me after this break. So, again, today's topic, self-esteem. And I always want to leave you off with this. It's something that takes time. It takes time to get from one point to another. But at the end of it all, or even in the middle of it, you're going to see results. You're going to see how you've changed as far as how you react to things now versus then. You're going to see how you start to value yourself. You're going to feel different on the inside because I surely do. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a roadmap to this higher self-esteem, the easiest way to build it has been for me daily affirmations. That's one. Journaling also. I read somewhere that if you write out your emotions, write out what you feel, it kind of helps you to kind of get it out. That way you can move on, you can do something else, you can focus on something else. So back to daily affirmations. This is May, right? So every month I change it. And I kind of learned this one from a motivational speaker by the name of Lisa Nichols. And what she does is there are three things you say to yourself. You focus on an I am, I forgive, and an I commit. So for me, for May, my affirmation is I am healthy, I forgive my fears, I commit to live life to the fullest. And that's what I say to myself every day for the month of May. And I start to feel a little different by, I want to say, the first 3 to 5 days of the month. If I've said it for at least a week, I start to feel it. I start to feel better. It becomes real by about the first 3 to 5 days. So I would kind of encourage anyone who's battling with some self-esteem issues to definitely write down your emotions, maybe read about it to kind of educate yourself. Education is also the best way to combat things. If you don't understand something, if you don't like something, if you're not comfortable with something, learn about it, because we fear what we do not know or do not understand. So I encourage you to journal and to put together some sort of a daily affirmation, even if it's something as simple as I am amazing or I am loved. Something just to get your mind reshaped, just to kind of redirect all your old feelings, the negative ones, into some positive feelings, because you yourself are your best friend, your worst enemy, your biggest cheerleader, your biggest critic, all wrapped into one. So, I mean, if we can't find it within ourselves, how could we expect someone else to give it to us? And that's another topic of how self esteem plays into our lives. The people we choose, the people we are around, even the people we don't choose, family members, siblings, whatnot, everybody kind of adds or subtracts from your self esteem. And when you, for example, when you're choosing a romantic partner, sometimes people are more prone to others who are more dominant than them, but not in a good way. More dominant in a I want to keep you under my thumb type of way. And I know people like this, and I've seen them constantly choose bad for them. I've also seen the opposite, where they're the ones that are just messed up on the inside. And I constantly see them treat others around them awful. So there is truth in that. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing with me in my moments of awkward pauses. Sorry about that. That's what I do when I'm trying to think of a word, and sometimes it's on the tip of my tongue. We've all been there. You know what it's like. It's on the tip of my tongue and I cannot think of the word for the life of me. So again, thank you for your support, your love, your subscriptions. I appreciate every single one of you, and I want to leave you on a good note. Have an amazing day. See you next time. Have a safe day, safe travels, all of that good stuff. Be progressive and, stay on top. Until next time.